do we have any questions? Do we have any thoughts to share from the audience?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm architect Yamini Deshmukh, Miki's student, and it's a pleasure to meet Miki and Madhavi today here. So my question, thank you for the beautiful presentations, both of you. It's like old SEP times, so it's really nice. My question is, actually, I have one question for both of you. One for Miki is that there are some of us who see, and maybe collectively we are not able to see, but uh, what can we do? Because sometimes even though we can see what is to be done, is so much more complicated and so much more difficult that you get stuck at that point, and then you somehow find solace in not seeing it, or trying to pretend in not seeing it. So, what is the easier way to go about it?
If I were to say, I think I think we need to, in small groups, go to places and discuss amongst ourselves what we are seeing. Question everything. Do you think I know everything? No. It's just the surface I know of. If I really were to do very serious work, I would take 10 more years. But it's a good question that why are we bogged down? I think small groups of people, architects, need to go places. The other thing is find out sources amongst yourselves, tap them, and say, Chalo, you tell us something about this or that or the other. Because this is not from textbooks. Textbooks will not give you this. So that's my answer.
Thank you. And my question to Madhvi is the whole feminism movement, and going about it. And of course, there's no doubt that there is a definite need, and it needs to be taken forward. But then there's always this in my mind, there's always this confusion or this debate that whether it is a female or a male, regardless of gender, somebody who wants to work will go out and work and find a way to deal with the issues. So then, are we being fair in making it such a issue, or no doubt there are pockets where there's definitely a need, but then yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, so what Yamini is asking is actually a very standard question of young people. So when I was young and I started talking about, you know, all these, and I forgot to mention that when I say women, I mean the non-binary, all included, except that I don't know enough about them. So when I was young and I started talking, everybody in the profession told me, you are talking about social issues. It's nothing to do with professional issues. But in reality, we are social beings who are professionals. So, you know, and if you look at the admission of women in schools of architecture in India, it has gone beyond 50%, 70%, at places 80. And how many are actually active in the profession? I know things have changed since, you know, I was young or since I started working, And I'm very proud of the girls today. They delay their marriage, they delay having children and to get ahead in the career. But is it right for women to do everything, sacrifice everything? Is the men have to also? I know men are better husbands today, but I think we need to accept this issue and work at, if we cannot do anything at the family level, at especially at the educational institutions and within the profession. And there is a platform called Parlor in Australia, which they have done a lot of work. They talk about issues like sexual harassment at in architects' offices, or wellness, how much stress we create by long hours, and it always affects women little more than men. So there are issues if we accept them and try to work towards them, instead of saying, yeah, but men and women are nowadays equal and we don't really need to do that. So you have some other.
No, my point was more like uh, okay, 80% women and 20% men. But out of those 80%, how many of the women who joined actually wanted to practice and joined architecture schools with the intention of actually practicing, and how many only joined architecture just to get a degree to get married?
I see your point. I see your point. Uh, but but we don't know. See, unfortunately, in India, we don't have any data. Even for my book, I wrote to Indian Institute of Architects and the Council of Architecture. Just basic percentages I did not get. But you have a point, but that does not generalize that all 80% did not want to practice. So, what are we doing for the 20% of the 80%? When we went through school, how many women came and gave a talk? Right now, what is happening, the 10 or 12 very famous women, which I have also covered in my book, they are everywhere on the juries, in the lecture panel, this and that. And the profession pretends that there is nothing, no problem exists. But, are we talking? Are we trying to bring? And I know there is the awareness has increased in the last 10 years, but I think we are not still doing enough.
Yeah, so Miki and Madhavi, thank you. It was a visual treat to see the pictures and images in both the presentations. And my question to Miki comes from his idea of seeing, and I always knew photography as a passion. And has that helped you to see better? Or it's could you relate a little bit to your photography and your architectural work?
Well, I think it's a question by itself and a discussion by itself. The idea of photography, as we see over a period, was एक टेबल होता है, उसके ऊपर फूलदानी होती है, मेल राइट हैंड पे बैठा होता है, फीमेल लेफ्ट हैंड पे बैठी होती है, दो तीन बच्चे ऐसे बैठे हुए थे, एक आगे बैठा हुआ होता है. That's the first photograph, as I see it. Then in our context, films define photography. Exactly opposite context, America. When we were defining the Deshbhakti and social aspects, etc., Darwin era, and then we were coming out of it, America was defining the cowboys. So photography again was used as an entertainment. It was not used as. Then there came a time that librarians said photography is a great thing, great tool. So there came about small, I forget the name of them, but one sheet of about 10 centimeters by 7 centimeters would contain 10 pages of a book. No, no, it is called something else. And you have to have a reader to read the book. But that happened, and that was fantastic. That was really fantastic. At the same time, there came about a change in photography and cinema. And at that time, Battleship Potemkin and other movies came up. Which and there was a whole Italian movie era which was talking about underground movies, etc., etc. Then came the World War movies. In all this, there was questioning happening. That whole idea of entertainment, then there came out questioning. Then came the idea of illustration in books. By the way you are writing theses today was never the way of writing theses. All the illustrations came at the back. You didn't compose your thesis like a book. So photography again changed its meaning. Illustration was right there. Illustration could become big. Illustration could become small. From that came the idea of abstraction, something I love the most. That you look at something, but you don't have to portray it exactly the way it is. Architectural documentation, yes, you do that. Without any mirch masala, you take a picture well to show something. But otherwise, there is another genre which is abstraction. And that's another ball game. We'll talk about it sometime. I'm doing that in Lonavala with my friends. Not a single picture is to be recognized. We just have fun with visual, and the quality of abstraction. And let your thoughts run. That's the last function of photography. That's how I see it.
Good evening. Thank you for the presentation that you both guys have given. And my question to Miki ma'am is, what according to you, after studying work of so many women architects in India and like interviewing them, what could you tell us about how different their approach to design was than the main star architects of that time, because they were women? What were the different things they were thinking?
So again, this is a very common question, like, do women design differently? And I think the jury is still out. I don't see. I personally think that we all go through this very strict kind of modernist education, in which, as I said, we don't learn too much about women's movement, or we go through a kind of a kind of a regiment which does not allow us to think differently unless you consciously do. So at least when I did the book, I was not really able to say that whether women design differently, except that I know from other research papers, and what I learned is that women are a little more less egoistic and more kind of, they like to work in a team, and they are more inclusive, generally speaking. Not, I'm afraid that a lot of the successful women architects kind of take up the male values and male behavior because, that's what they think is the mainstream. But I think Girish and Saurabh were telling us yesterday that Shimul Javeri was here. And I don't know if how many of you heard her, but did you find any difference? And at least she has taken 4 women partners, younger partners, and I think that's and some other way she runs the office. There are some very good points about women practices. So I cannot generalize, but I think they do. There is a difference, but the jury is still out.
टू बी स्पेसिफिक, अगर मैं एक एग्जाम्पल दे के पूछना चाहूँ तो देर वॉज अ फोटोग्राफ इन योर प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ slums moved out of the city in Ahmedabad, who were living earlier on the riverside. So do you think it would have been a little different if in the like urban designers panel that time there would have been more women? Would the condition of those slums be different today?
I feel that not. See, I think again you're bringing this issue of how many policymakers are women or how many planners are women and how many architects in the government, and are they conscious of the feminist issues? Because most of them are not. I think from my experience. So no, the moving them out very far was a very political decision. I don't think that would have changed. But if there were women designing the new housing, not the PWD, who have made kind of little holes for windows and given them 4-story and also mixed them. You see, whether we like it or not, we are a community, caste-oriented people. So what they did when they were shifted, they were all mixed. So they don't like living with other communities. They look down on certain, ये तो हमारा से नीचा है kind of thing. And also they are used to half the life is lived on the ground, in the front of the houses. Instead of that, they are given small spaces on 4-story, 3rd story. So on top of that, because of the distance from the city, they have men and women have lost some of them have lost livelihoods. So it's a very complex problem. It's not just about having. Miki wants to add.
About 20 years ago, in the periphery of Ahmedabad, where those who know Ahmedabad, beyond SG Road, the growth that has taken place, where SG Road was, an inside road near satellite area, circular road, they built a colony. And believe me, it was called Harijan Colony. And there were about 20 blocks of 5-story. Today, each house has no window. Each house is nearly cracked up. And some people are living there, some have abandoned the place. And some of the blocks are completely abandoned. So our idea of providing housing for people, men, women, children, has to improve. We have to put more money into it. We have to become vigilant about it. We have to partly help them run their houses, run their life. We have to partly give them other facilities. We have to help them children, their children play. Have you seen these public housing where the in-between areas are like desert? There is nothing happening there. Why? Because there is a COP required, and because there is a distance between the two houses required, two flats required, two multi-story buildings required. Both of them are having toilet pipes running down them, and the space in between cannot be anything but dump yard. So we have to learn. We have to tell the government you are making a mistake. Let us make this housing in a little different manner. That's where designer comes in. Don't have engineering approach to architecture. This is what I feel. And I'm pained by seeing those houses going down, running down. The houses, their doors are coming out.
Good evening. My name is Mukta. I'm studying architecture in MADHAVI and I'm currently in second year. My question was for Madhvi ma'am. Like you mentioned that you have seen and the number of girls taking admission in architecture field. But right now what I've seen is there are more girls in my batch than boys. But when I seen the field and after graduation, the scenario is completely opposite of it. And also when there's this topic about, master architects, there's no women in it. It's always, a list of just men till the start to the end. So what's the reason behind it?
I think you're saying the same thing I said, right? That there are more than 50% girls in the schools, and then we don't see them practicing. Therefore, we need to take several steps. And yes, the master architects, that is why I showed the slide of so the reason is that we don't know. We have not really, okay, we are a patriarchal society. Do you agree with that? We cannot deny that. We are still a very patriarchal society. And that patriarchy trickles down to all institutions, starts from the family, to the institution, educational institutions, to the police, to everything else. So within that, all these years, even when I went through school, what I was criticizing the students, I was the same. I only could talk about, Kanvinde and Korea and Doshi and Jain, whoever. I myself, even when we did the Architecture and Independence book in the 90s, I did not really, we just mentioned Gira Sarabhai a little bit. So today I'm embarrassed that I did not include so many of these women because I didn't know about them. So basically, I think you young people have to pick this up and, add to the existing knowledge. It is happening because we have denied. They have become invisible. And I could only dig out a few. There must be many more. But I had my own limitations.
Madhvi knows about this example, and it's very important that some concrete decisions, some concrete ideas are thrown at the society by the politicians. Example, in America, if you have an all-women office, you have to be given a substantial project every year by the city or by the government. One. Two, in India, maybe majority women practice. must be given a project so that there is an awareness about how women design, how they participate in designing, how their work figures out in the society and gets lived in. So this is a very important issue. Some countries have started taking notice of it. Vienna has started taking notice of it. And another way of looking at it is really, are you men and women making spaces which are fearless, in which people can move around without getting frightened? And that's where both men and women need to design in such a way that the public spaces and private spaces mitigate into each other and they create a friendly environment. So we have many. This really is a thought which requires exclusive discussion, and we must have that exclusive discussion, but in a very serious manner. And I wouldn't mind saying that a group of girls and boys together think about what can be, how can we. They may be ridiculous ideas for the beginning, but they must come out. And you have to use the mouthpieces that are available to you to talk about. We have to shout. Now we have to shout because our urban environment is getting out of hand. It's not just the man, women, it's the cow, the elephant, the chaiwala, everybody is involved. How do we organize? That's the question.
I just thought we should end on a little positive kind of thing, because my daughters now are 20 and 22, and the feminist ideas, they say, why are you even talking it? We just talk of human beings. We're all human beings. Why differentiate male and female? And to answer her question, I think it's been a patriarchal society and we are in transition. But I'm sure now the next generations are all, like Madhavi said, in 20 years she's seen a change. And I think your daughters will definitely see a bigger change, and we all have to support that. That's it. Really. Yeah.
I suppose that's it from the audience. So as we draw the evening to a close, I'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude. First and foremost, thank you to our esteemed speakers for sharing their valuable insights. I would request Girish sir to please come forward and present our speakers. Sir, you want to say?
I'm sorry, Girish bhai. My daughter's teacher was Girish Dani. And I made a gross mistake of calling a doshi a Dani. I'm sorry.
It's because I didn't edit his presentation.
That's true. There always is a woman behind a man, in front of a man.
I would request Deepti Sant to present MIKI sir with a token of gratitude from Team Road.
Thank you very much. Is it reachable?
And I would request Gaurav to present Madhavi ma'am with a...
Thank you all for coming. And
Thank you all for
sitting for
sitting
so
around.
long.
Till now.
Thank you, Deepti and Gaurav. A heartfelt thanks to Nikita from SAR for once again generously allowing us to use this incredible venue. We truly appreciate your kindness and support. I suppose she's not here today, but we are forever grateful to her for this amazing venue, lending it to us. Thank you to all the audience for being with us. We always hope to share such nice events with all of you because at Road, the knowledge sharing is our motto, and that's why we are here and we keep on meeting. So, thank you very much for being here. On behalf of everyone at Road, I wish you all a very happy new year and a journey filled with inspiration, innovation, and creativity. Thank you so much, and good night.